have Belinda Rosenblum with us here, and she is here for our incredible Bombshell Spotlight this month. Belinda, thanks so much for being here.
Oh, Ellie, I'm so excited for it.
I have to tell you guys,
Completed bombshells, how perfect.
I love this woman. She is just such a dear human being. We met because we've been in a mastermind together, working on our businesses and watching each other thrive. And I'm thrilled to have her here to share some of her brilliant insights with all of you today. She is a CPA and wealth expert who helps corporate professionals and entrepreneurs really take charge of their money. And I can tell you from personal experience, this was a huge breakthrough for me when I actually decided to take charge of my money. And Belinda, I know you have your own money story that you can share with us. Would you share a little bit about that?
Sure. It's really interesting because of what I do in terms of helping people really take control of their money and find the place that they can grow their businesses and live their dreams now instead of feeling like there's always some other day to do it. That the fact that I have a place in my past where I was the total avoider, but it was a source of shame for me for a while, really. And then I had this realization that, you know what, it really helps me bring a lot more compassion in all of the work that I do because I know, and I'm just really honest about the fact that there are a lot of other things we'd rather be doing with our time often than actually opening up and paying our bills and doing spreadsheets or completing online apps. But what has just been so huge is that once you really step into this place of understanding and organizing and growing your money, what opens up to be possible. And so when I was 21, I became the family CFO, and it was not a job that I wanted, but my father had a stroke and it seemed like it made sense for me to step into it. But I just started my new job in New York and I was on the road a lot. And so I was doing my best to keep his healthcare under control and his rehab and really his well-being. But then I was also trying to keep, a boyfriend long distance and a job going. And so what happened pretty quickly was that I initially got things under control, which is what people do, but then I let it slide. I couldn't keep up with it because I didn't really have any kind of system in place. So within the next 7 years, I focused on the business and the boyfriend and my dad's health. But I would come home from this week of traveling and I would just throw my mail on the table. And then I would keep doing this every week. It was like a rinse and repeat. So I'd come home Friday, I'd get the mail, I'd throw it on the table, I'd run around on the weekend, and then I would go back. And by the time I was 28, it had gotten to this point where I had these 3 huge stacks of bills and mail. And my sister one day just said to me, how is everything going? And I couldn't, in all integrity, say yes, everything was fine anymore. By that point, I had something like 8 bank accounts, 3 credit cards, 2 properties. One was a rental property. Like, you could have added a partridge in a pear tree and it would have felt complete. That was ridiculous. And so I had this moment where I started to totally freak out, like we do, right? Where our head just like goes crazy and we have all these thoughts like, what happens if my dad gets kicked out of the nursing home? Or what happens if my boss finds out? And then I just breathed, honestly, and I just caught myself and I said, okay, hold on, I have a choice in this moment. I think of it like my come to Jesus moment, which is good because I'm Jewish. And then it was in that moment I said, you know what, I can own my money or I can let it own me. What is it going to be? And from that point forward, I asked for help and I had a friend come over and she helped me open it all up because I had gotten so paralyzed. I literally couldn't even open up that mail. And over the next 6 months, developed a new system to manage my money and really a new way of thinking about it and approaching it to create a system that I could then sustain. And now I teach that to this day, 5 years later, and I put things in place during that time. 5 years later, by 33, I was a self-made millionaire. And then a few years after that, I decided I have to teach this to the world. And it was actually much harder getting going than I thought. There might be a lot of people who are watching this who are like, yeah, I thought I could just set up a shingle and then people would come.
You mean starting your business was harder? Like starting your own thing? Yes, yeah, totally.
I thought, oh, I made it through all of that. Starting a business should be no problem.
Right, I got this, yeah.
And that was an interesting part of this journey too, to realize that it takes marketing, it takes sales, and at the foundation, it takes understanding money at this level and understanding money as it relates to business in a whole new way as well. So,
Absolutely.
yeah, so it's been a really fun and interesting journey. And now I feel really honored to serve this gap, I guess I feel like, because financial advisors can help you with your investments, CPAs will help you with your taxes, right? But there's no one that's really addressing all of the day-to-day that we need around our money, and particularly what's going to help us have the foundation in place to then thrive and grow our businesses to the level that we'd like to.
And I love that. And as you guys can see, one of the things I love about Belinda is just how real she is. And the fact that you have been through it, I think does give people, because I feel like money is one of those things that no one wants to talk about. And it's such an intimate thing for us that the fact that you have this story is really beautiful. And as you guys can see, it's a powerful story that she shares so well. I also know that you just get what people struggle with. What would you say is one of the biggest things that business owners, especially women, struggle with when it comes to money?
Sure. I feel like there's this piece that they work really hard, but that it never really seems to be enough. And, it's like work and work and work, and they don't really know either what their goals are, right, or how much money they really want to be bringing into their household and into their businesses. So they just feel like I have to work harder. I have something to prove. And it ends up making this, like, taking away a lot of the passion and the fun out of why we started our businesses in the first place.
Totally.
Right. And so once you can take a step back almost, right, and to say, what do I really want from this business, right? What do I really want from my life? And at the core, that's where that understanding, organizing, and growing your money comes in. And I really thought a lot, like, what do I feel like those key components are that people are missing, right? And that's why I decided to do this upcoming video series that we'll share with them a little bit, because people are just working really hard, but they don't really know what they need to put into place. So do you want me to give a few quick tips now, Eva?
I would love that. That'd be great.
So the first thing that I want you to do is to really separate your business and personal, because what happens so much of the time is that it gets very commingled. And then what happens is you're doing great in your business and you bring home $3,000 that week and you're thrilled, and then either your partner sees it and they're like, great, I can use some of that money to help us pay the mortgage this month. Or maybe you see it and you're like, great, I can pay off that credit card bill. But then all of a sudden, maybe you have some expenses that relate to it, right? Or you just feel like you're earning, you should, and I always caution people to not should on themselves.
I do too. I love that.
But that you feel like, oh, I should be able to use this money all for personal stuff. But as soon as you can draw that line in the sand and you say, you know what, it's not a hobby, it's going to be a real business, God damn it. And then you're setting yourself up for a lot more success that way. And then that way you can see what your business money is. And then if you need to, there'll be times, especially when you're starting out, that you may need to make a cash infusion. So from your personal into your business to say, I need to get things going. I need to be hiring a coach. I need a website. A lot of times people do spend more money initially than they need to. So sometimes that's my conversation, really helping them see what's the best return on investment for the money you're putting into your business. But more of the time, what happens is that once we get it going, then it's, okay, how much money can you transfer from the business into your household? And the key part there is really knowing what it is that your household needs, which is the second piece now. So first, we're separating our business and our personal. And by the way, I mean both in bank account and in credit card. Like, I'd like to see, worst case, have a debit card, but best case, have separate credit cards for each, so that at the time of purchase, even if it's something like a Target, you're being very clear and intentional. Is this a business expense? Is this a personal expense? This tip will save you hours when you go to do your taxes. Absolutely. In this first year that you implement this.
I also think it makes you take it a little more seriously as well. This is my business card. It just feels a little different than putting it all on one.
Right. And the other thing, though, is that I had a great interview actually just a couple days ago. And one of the things that we came up with is it's almost like you're robbing your personal accounts when you're using a business purpose, when you need it for your business. So I'd rather see you leave the personal in the personal and use your business funds for business purposes.
Right.
And separate that church and state in a way that really takes yourself seriously. And it's amazing once we develop this foundation for you, how everybody starts to take you more seriously. Right? And this is all of your client interactions, your networking, your videos, like all of it, because you don't bring the desperation and you bring yourself as the CEO of a real business, not just something that you're managing out of your personal books.
So what's tip number 2?
Tip number 2 is to know your baseline expenses. So I want you to know, and it can be approximate, right? We can say, okay, it's about $1,200 business that I need every month, depending on the size. Maybe it's $4,000 or $8,000, right? But you want to know how much you need for your business expenses each month and how much you want to make as a contribution to your personal expenses. So know a fixed dollar amount. Maybe it's $5,000 for that, so that when you're looking at, okay, what am I going to make in my business? You can adequately cover both of those, right? And then when the third step is really creating a plan to get there. So it's not a mystery, right? I don't know why we keep choosing to live in this money mystery every month, but it doesn't have to be that way.
Yes.
We can easily figure out what are our needs. And yes, you always need to leave some for the miscellaneous, what I call unusual frequent stuff that comes up. But more than that, it's just important that you can allot and do it in a way that is very clear and not accidental.
I love these tips, and I know that we're going to have a link below this video where people can actually watch some videos that you mentioned with more juicy stuff from you on this. Let's talk a little bit about why you chose to create videos of you to share your wisdom through.
Sure. So, the link is going to be at ownyourmoney.com/video. So they will likely be able to go and grab it. And so it was interesting because I've been doing this business now for more than 8 years. And video is something that you'll appreciate this. I would think I was a little bit nervous about doing in a grander way.
Most
right?
Yes.
And it's ironic because I used to have a TV show even. In some ways, I was recording videos every month, right, for that purpose. But it just felt more personal. And so there's an internal hurdle that I had to get through to say, yes, let's do this, right? And I view videos as this great way for me to speak with you directly, for me to have a conversation that, it's one-sided, like I'm talking, but you can engage with comments and I'm responding to all the comments in a way that you can see, yes, I do this on a regular basis, and yes, I can help you. Right?
And you're a real human being, as you mentioned, right? I mean, this is how, I think the thing that you mentioned about it being so personal is also what makes it so powerful, because they are getting to see you and experience you, right?
Right, exactly. And money, like you said earlier, it's so hush-hush most of the time that if I can open it up in this more direct way and have it be approachable, have it be something we really can do, then all of a sudden, and I guess to the point that I've done it. Right. So I had my struggles, earlier than some, or at least I faced them earlier than some. Sometimes 28 seems like, oh, good thing you did it then, because I'm helping people in their 40s or even their 60s now. But to me, it felt late because I was underneath all these piles of mail.
Right.
And then now I feel like I get to live the dream. Like I get to run this business, and I share a really personal story actually in the videos about how if I didn't want to, I wouldn't actually have to work right now, because of some choices that we made. This is all a choice to get to do this business. And
that's so cool, Belinda. I love it.
And it's really possible for you too. And I think that's important for people to get.
Yeah, and I'm sure that everybody watching is just so eager to see what else you have to share, because you're so powerful on camera, and I'm so thrilled that you've incorporated this into the way that you're sharing your wisdom, because you've got so much of it. For just to leave people with one thing, if you could just share one thing with people who are struggling right now, one message for them, what would you like for them to hear from you?
Let's see. I guess first off, take a deep breath. What I notice a lot with people with money is that they literally hold their breath. Like they're so tight about it. There's so much judgment and shame and fear in the whole conversation that the first thing I want you to do is just take a deep breath with us. Right? Breathe out the scarcity. Just breathe in all the goodness and all the prosperity that's there for you. So once we get that out of the way, then the key message is really stop putting it off. Stop putting off looking at your money. Stop putting off living your dreams. Stop putting off, thinking that, okay, I need to keep the business going the way it's going. That really now is your time to be creating the business and creating the life that you love and that you really are excited to get up every day to live. And let's let money be a tool to help you get there.
Love it. Again, one more time, we are going to have a link to a whole video series where you can get more of Belinda below this video. And give us the URL one more time, Belinda, as well.
Sure. It's my website, which is ownyourmoney.com/video.
Thank you so much for being here. I hope everybody walks away feeling inspired. I know I do. And I so appreciate your time. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks so much, Ellie. This has been a total pleasure. And thank you for all that you do for all of your readers and really to have the means for them to be inspired to grow their businesses and their lives at this next level. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Talk to you soon.
Great.